Aaron Vale tightened his grip on the pulse rifle as the heat of Korath Seven's sun beat down on the colony. Dust swirled across the cracked metal streets, kicked up by the work crews and mining drones that scuttled like insects. It was supposed to be a routine day, a day of quiet repairs and supply shipments. But quiet days rarely lasted long on a frontier planet. He had just returned from inspecting the outer perimeter when the alarms blared, a shrill, piercing sound that made every colonist's blood run cold. Aaron's heart raced. He didn't need to look at the monitors to know what was coming. The colony had heard rumors, whispers of alien scouts, of shadowy figures seen moving on the horizon. No one knew exactly who they were, but everyone knew what they could do. Aaron sprinted toward the command center, his boots pounding against the metal decking. Around him, colonists were running for shelter, carrying children and supplies. Smoke began rising in thin trails from the far side of the colony. Explosions followed, sudden and violent, echoing across the barren landscape. The alien raiders had arrived. When Aaron reached the command center, he saw them. The scouts moved with precision, almost as if they had rehearsed the attack. Their bodies were taller than humans, their skin a glimmering mix of dark blues and purples. Their eyes, if they could be called that, glowed faintly, scanning everything with an intelligence that was almost unsettling. They wielded strange energy weapons that cracked and hissed as they tore through metal doors and walls. Aaron didn't hesitate. He yelled for the colonists to take cover, then opened fire. The pulse rifle stuttered in his hands as he squeezed the trigger, sending bolts of energy toward the nearest alien. They dodged with unnerving agility, their movements fluid, precise, almost unnatural. Still, Aaron kept firing. Every shot he landed forced them to retreat momentarily, gave the humans time to escape. He ducked behind a supply crate and rolled to his side. One of the raiders was coming closer, its body moving in a way that made it seem almost graceful, despite the violence in its intent. Aaron aimed carefully, waiting for the perfect moment. When the alien lunged, he fired. The pulse hit its chest, knocking it backward. It didn't scream, it didn't even make a sound humans could hear. But it staggered, giving Aaron enough time to take cover behind a wall. As he fought, Aaron caught a glimpse of something that made him freeze for just a moment, a figure standing apart from the chaos, observing. The Queen. She was enormous, taller than any human could imagine, with limbs that moved with both elegance and authority. Her head tilted slightly, as though she were studying him, weighing him. There was a strange intelligence in her gaze, a focus that made Aaron's chest tighten. But there was no time to think. Another wave of scouts had broken through the outer perimeter, forcing him to duck and fire again. He sprinted toward the central hub where civilians were sheltering, blasting the aliens who tried to intercept him. Every step was a calculation. Every decision could mean life or death. Aaron realized in that moment that he was not just fighting for himself. He was fighting for every man, woman, and child in the colony. He was fighting to prove that humanity could stand against creatures who seemed designed to dominate. And somehow, he felt that the Queen, this observing force, was noting that proof. Minutes felt like hours. The aliens were relentless, but Aaron was faster, smarter, more adaptable than any of them expected. He ducked into a narrow alleyway and spotted a small group of colonists trapped behind a fallen support beam. Using every ounce of his strength, he lifted the debris enough for them to escape. One of them, a young girl named Lyra, looked up at him with wide, terrified eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, clutching her brother tightly. Aaron gave her a nod and kept moving. He knew stopping now could mean disaster. He fought through corridors, firing, ducking, rolling, always moving. The aliens seemed to anticipate his moves at times, but he adapted, using the environment to his advantage. Smoke filled the air, the acrid scent of burning metal stinging his nostrils. Explosions shook the ground beneath him. Yet, for every alien that advanced, another fell. Humanity's grit, its ingenuity, its unwillingness to surrender became his greatest weapon. Then, a sudden surge of energy slammed into the central square. One of the alien leaders, larger than the scouts and more imposing, stepped into view. Its presence seemed to radiate authority. It surveyed the chaos, and for a moment even the raiders faltered. Aaron's pulse quickened. He had faced dangerous opponents before, but this was different. This one thought strategically, almost like it was calculating every possible outcome before it acted. Aaron ducked behind a collapsed wall and took a deep breath. Then he remembered the Queen. She hadn't moved. She had been watching, silent, calculating, while he fought to protect those who could not defend themselves. And in that realization, he found a strange surge of courage. He would fight, not just to survive, not just to protect, but to show that humans were capable of more than brute strength, They were clever, resourceful, and determined. He emerged from cover, taking a careful angle that gave him a clear shot at the alien leader. He fired, but the energy pulse bounced off a shield he hadn't noticed. The alien advanced, slow but deliberate. Aaron switched tactics, luring it toward a collapsed power generator. Timing his movements precisely, he ducked behind debris just as he triggered an overload. The generator exploded in a bright, blinding flash. When the smoke cleared, the leader had fallen, retreating with the surviving scouts. The queen remained. She did not intervene, nor did she attack. She simply watched, her glowing eyes fixed on Aaron. For a moment their gazes met. There was recognition in her stare, a silent acknowledgement of his skill, his bravery, his humanity. Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. He had fought countless battles, faced impossible odds, but never had he felt the weight of being truly observed by an intelligence that could see every thought, every strategy. And yet he also felt a strange sense of respect. The queen had seen him not as prey, but as a potential equal, someone capable of shaping outcomes far beyond the battlefield. As she vanished into the horizon, leaving the scouts behind, Aaron lowered his rifle and allowed himself a moment to breathe. The colony was battered, some buildings destroyed, but the people were alive. Children cried, adults hugged, and for the first time that day, Aaron allowed himself a faint smile. He had survived. They had survived. But deep in the back of his mind, a seed of uncertainty had been planted. Who was that queen? Why had she watched him so carefully? And what did it mean that she had spared the colony, leaving only a warning in her wake? He didn't know, and yet he couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning. Humanity had proven itself capable of resilience, courage, and ingenuity today. But in the vastness of space, there were forces far greater than any colony, any fleet, or any soldier. Forces that could challenge the very fate of humankind. Aaron returned to the command center to check on the survivors. Engineers were patching broken systems, medics treating injuries, and colonists were cleaning debris. He felt pride in them, in their persistence, their ability to continue despite fear. It reminded him of why humanity survived, why humans endured: adaptability, determination, and the refusal to surrender to forces that seemed insurmountable. Later, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the battered colony, Aaron stood on the edge of a ridge overlooking Korath 7. The wind carried the smell of scorched metal and dust. In the distance, faint traces of psychic energy shimmered in the air, almost like a ripple, leaving him with the undeniable sense that he was being watched again. He clenched his fists, a quiet determination settling over him. Whoever or whatever that was, he would be ready. Humanity had survived countless trials before, and it would survive this one. But more than survival, humans had the power to fight, to think, to adapt, and perhaps to shape the fate of the galaxy itself. Aaron Vale didn't know what the Queen wanted, or why she had spared him and the colony. But he did know one thing: he had fought, and in doing so, he had proven something essential. Humans were not weak, not expendable, not predictable. They were clever, brave, and relentless, and whatever the universe had in store, they would face it head-on. As night fell, the colony lit up with small fires, emergency lights flickering across the ruins. The people of Korath 7 began to rebuild, slowly but surely. And somewhere beyond the stars, the Queen observed. She had seen humanity's potential in one human fight. And that vision, though silent and unseen by the colony, would change the course of their future in ways none of them could imagine. Aaron Vale woke to a strange humming sound that filled his quarters at the colony's command center. At first, he thought it was another machinery malfunction. Korath 7 had plenty of them. But as he rubbed his eyes, he realized the hum wasn't coming from any machine. It was inside his head. He froze, heart hammering, as a faint image appeared before his eyes. It wasn't real in the sense that he could touch it, but it was as clear as the rising sun outside. The alien queen stood there, her luminous form shimmering and shifting like sunlight through crystal. Aaron stumbled back, clutching his head. "Who's there?" he asked aloud, his voice shaky. There was no reply in the room, only the image remained. "I am not here to harm you," the voice said, not in words he could hear with his ears, but in thoughts that flowed directly into his mind. "I have seen your strength. I have seen your courage. You survived when few could have." The Queen's presence was not threatening, yet it carried an undeniable weight, an intelligence that made him feel both small and strangely empowered. He had fought alien raiders with every ounce of skill he had, but nothing had prepared him for this. What do you want?" he asked, voice trembling. "I want you to see as I see. The galaxy is not yours alone, nor mine. Danger comes from beyond your understanding. I can guide you if you will follow." "What kind of danger?" he asked. The queen's image flickered. "Not yet. You must prove your mind, your judgment, your morality. Humanity is strong, yes, but alone you are not enough. I need someone who can think, adapt, and survive. And you will decide for yourself, but your actions will shape more than your own fate." But the images returned, drifting into his mind at odd intervals, symbols, maps of planets he had never seen, flashes of strange technology. The colony leadership noticed changes in him over the next few days. Commander Havel, a grizzled veteran with decades in human space, cornered him in the mess hall. "Aaron, you've been distracted," he said, voice low but firm. "Your reports are scattered. You're not sleeping properly. Are you hiding something?" "Just adjusting to repairs and the aftermath of the raid." The air shimmered, and there she was, her form flickering in and out like a heat wave. "You sought me," she said, though it was not a question. "I need answers," Aaron admitted. "Why me? Why the colony?" "That is why you were chosen. The first step is to follow my guidance without question, though the choices remain yours." Sometimes it was a map of a distant planet, sometimes a sequence of numbers or alien symbols, sometimes a warning, a storm, a predator, or a human mistake that could have deadly consequences. At first, he ignored them. He focused on the colony, helping with repairs, overseeing security improvements, and rebuilding morale. But slowly, he began to see that the Queen's guidance was precise. Following a particular sequence of symbols led him to discover a malfunction in the colony's power grid before it became catastrophic. Another vision warned him of a hidden gas leak, preventing what could have been a deadly accident. Aaron realized that the Queen wasn't just testing him, she was helping him save lives. Each time he acted on her guidance, the colony survived another challenge. He began to understand the subtle lesson she was teaching. Humans could rise above instinct, above brute force, and adapt to circumstances beyond their understanding. It wasn't long before he faced his first real trial. One morning, scouts from a rival human faction arrived, claiming they were here to inspect the colony. Their transport ships hovered above Korath 7 like predatory birds, and armed soldiers began landing. Aaron, informed by a vision he had received the night before, realized their intentions were not peaceful. The scouts tried to take control of the colony's resources, threatening the miners and engineers. Aaron approached them alone, hands raised, pulse rifle holstered. "You don't need to fight," he said. "This colony is not yours to claim." Within hours, without a single casualty among civilians, the rival faction was disarmed and forced to retreat. Commander Havel shook his head in disbelief. "How did you do it?" he asked. Aaron hesitated, unsure how to explain the visions and the Queen. "I planned ahead," he said simply. "I watched, I calculated, I acted." The Queen's subtle influence had helped him see patterns, anticipate threats, and act decisively. For the first time, Aaron realized that humans were capable of more than raw courage. They could combine intellect, observation, and adaptability to overcome challenges far beyond normal expectation. Weeks passed, and Aaron began to accept the Queen's presence as part of his life. He no longer feared the visions, he studied them. They were lessons, each one a puzzle, each one a step toward understanding his place in a galaxy larger than he had ever imagined. Then one evening, a more direct message arrived. The Queen's image appeared clearer and more substantial than ever. "You are ready for the next step," she said. "There is a planet beyond your charts. It holds knowledge that will test you. Go there and you will understand the first part of your purpose." He packed a small ship with essentials and set coordinates for the unknown planet, his pulse steady, determination firm. Before departure, Lyra, the girl he had saved during the raid, ran up to him. "Are you coming back?" she asked, worry etched on her face. Aaron knelt to her level. "I will," he said, his voice firm. "I have to go now to keep everyone safe, but I promise I'll return. And when I do, humanity will be stronger than it's ever been." As the engines roared to life, Korath 7 shrinking beneath him, Aaron thought about the path ahead. Humans were often underestimated. They were flawed, emotional, sometimes reckless. But they were also brilliant, resourceful, and capable of extraordinary courage. That courage had caught the attention of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. The stars stretched out before him, endless and mysterious. And somewhere out there the alien Queen observed, her eyes, seen only in visions, fixed on him, watching, guiding, testing. Aaron's journey had only just begun, but already he understood that the future of humanity was entwined with choices far greater than any one colony, any single battle, or even his own survival. The queen had seen his fight once, and it had changed everything. Now it was his turn to shape what would come next. He set his course into the void, engines humming steadily. In the distance, faint signals shimmered, guiding him toward a world unknown, where knowledge, danger, and the next trials awaited. Aaron clenched his fists and allowed a small smile. Humanity had survived the impossible before, and it would do so again. But this time, their courage would not only protect themselves, it would define their place in the galaxy. And somewhere far beyond the reaches of human comprehension, the alien queen waited, patient and observant, ready to see how far humanity, and this one human, could go. The ship's engines hummed steadily as Aaron Vale stared out at the endless black of space. Stars stretched across the void, distant pinpricks of light in a sea of darkness. The unknown planet loomed ahead, marked only by the faint signals the alien queen had provided. He had no idea what awaited him there. No maps, no human explorers, only the faint promise of knowledge and the echo of the queen's guidance in his mind. As the ship entered the planet's atmosphere, turbulence shook the cabin. Aaron gritted his teeth and adjusted the thrusters, keeping the vessel steady. Outside the viewport, jagged mountains and deep canyons stretched across a landscape bathed in pale green light. Strange storms swirled in the distance, electrical discharges leaping across the sky. The planet seemed alive, a world that watched him as much as he watched it. He landed in a sheltered valley where the winds were calmer and the ground appeared solid. The ship's landing thrusters kicked up clouds of dust and strange, iridescent spores that sparkled in the green light. Aaron stepped out carefully, pulse rifle in hand, scanning the terrain. The valley was empty, or so it seemed, but he felt the presence of something unseen, watching, testing. The alien queen's voice came again, faint in his mind. "This world holds trials, Aaron. Not all danger is visible. Observe carefully. Your choices will matter." The vine reacted instantly, retracting from his hand but leaving a faint glow in its path. Hours passed as he explored, and Aaron realized the planet was not just alive, it was intelligent in some way. Its ecosystem responded to him, testing his curiosity and caution. A misstep could trigger dangerous reactions, and he moved with deliberate care, learning quickly how to read the subtle signals of movement, light, and energy around him. Then he heard it, a low, resonant hum that vibrated through the valley. He froze, scanning the area. Shadows shifted among the jagged rocks. He raised his pulse rifle but did not fire immediately. Instead, he watched. Two creatures emerged, tall, armored beings with limbs jointed in strange angles, their heads elongated and glowing faintly. They moved in unison, communicating silently with gestures and subtle shifts in posture. Aaron remembered the queen's words, "Observe carefully, your choices will matter." He lowered his rifle slightly, stepping forward with cautious confidence. The creatures paused, tilting their heads, curious. He extended a hand, not in aggression but as a sign of respect. Slowly, carefully, he began to mimic their movements, matching their gestures with precision. It worked. The creatures relaxed slightly, and one approached him, testing the connection. Aaron realized that intelligence, not force, would be his key to survival here. He spent hours learning the creatures' language of motion, understanding the rhythm of their communication. By the end of the day, he had earned a fragile trust. Night fell, and the valley was bathed in an eerie green luminescence. Aaron set up a small camp, analyzing the data he had gathered. The creatures watched from a distance but did not approach. He marveled at how the queen's guidance had led him here, to a world that required both courage and intelligence to navigate. It was no longer about fighting. It was about understanding, adapting, and surviving in ways humans had never encountered before. The next day, Aaron's trial intensified. A sudden storm erupted, lightning arcing across the sky in dazzling displays. The wind howled through the canyon, carrying the scent of unknown minerals and ozone. The creatures he had befriended retreated to safe areas, leaving him exposed. He had to find shelter quickly, and he remembered a narrow cave entrance he had passed earlier. As he ran, the ground beneath him shifted. Hidden fissures opened suddenly, revealing deep chasms. He leapt, barely catching the edge of solid ground. Dust and pebbles rained down into the darkness below. Aaron realized that the planet itself was testing him, pushing him to combine observation, quick thinking, and courage. Inside the cave, he found more than shelter. Ancient carvings lined the walls, glowing faintly with a strange energy. Symbols resembled both human writing and alien glyphs, suggesting a civilization that once inhabited this world, or perhaps one that still did, hidden and watching. Aaron traced the symbols with his fingers, feeling a connection to knowledge far beyond humanity's reach. Suddenly, a holographic projection flickered to life. It was the alien queen, though in a slightly different form, more abstract and geometric. "You have arrived, Aaron," she said. "This world contains lessons you must learn. Your choices here will shape your understanding of alliance, intelligence, and survival. Fail, and you may not return to your people." He had fought raiders and rival humans, but here, failure could mean death, or worse, leaving humanity unprepared for the challenges ahead. The projection faded, leaving a puzzle embedded in the floor of the cave. Panels of alien metal shifted when he touched them, and symbols rearranged themselves. Aaron studied the pattern, using logic and intuition to match sequences. Hours passed, sweat dripping from his brow as he tested hypotheses, made mistakes, and learned from them. Finally, with a satisfying click, the final panel settled into place, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside the chamber, he found artifacts, tools and devices unlike anything humans had ever seen. Some were weapons, but others were mechanisms of energy manipulation, technology that could revolutionize life across the colonies. He carefully examined each one, cataloging what he could understand and leaving the rest for further study. It wasn't easy. Some devices reacted to thought or emotion rather than touch, requiring Aaron to calm his mind and focus. It tested his patience, his intelligence, and his ability to remain composed under pressure. And through it all, he realized a truth the Queen had been guiding him toward. Humans were not just survivors. They were thinkers, innovators, and problem solvers, capable of mastering challenges far beyond their apparent strength. As he exited the chamber, the creatures he had befriended approached again. This time they moved openly, guiding him toward a natural platform that overlooked the valley. Below, the storm had passed, revealing rivers of shimmering liquid flowing through the landscape. Mountains towered in the distance, their peaks glowing with the same green energy that suffused the planet. The Queen's voice came again, softer this time, almost like a whisper in his mind. "You have succeeded in observation, adaptation, and understanding. There will be more trials, and they will grow more difficult. But today, you have proven that humanity is capable of intelligence, courage, and cooperation. You are ready for the next step." That night, as he rested under the alien sky, he allowed himself to reflect on what he had learned. The alien queen was not an enemy. She was a guide, a teacher, a force challenging humanity to rise above instinct and brute strength. And Aaron, in this moment, felt a quiet pride. He had been chosen not because he was the strongest or the fastest, but because he was clever, courageous, and willing to act with both heart and mind. The creatures remained nearby, protective but non-threatening, as if acknowledging his growth. He drifted to sleep, dreams filled with visions of interstellar landscapes, alien technology, and the faint echo of the Queen's presence, reminding him that the galaxy was vast, complex, and full of challenges yet to come. Aaron woke the next day with renewed determination. The planet still held secrets, and the Queen had promised more trials, but he felt ready. He had learned to observe, to adapt, and to act. He had proven that humans could think, cooperate, and survive in ways far beyond what most other species expected. And he knew, deep in his heart, that every lesson he learned here would prepare him not just for the unknown planet, but for the greater dangers looming in the galaxy. Packing his ship for further exploration, he took one last look at the valley. The creatures watched him from a distance, their forms blending with the green glow of the landscape. Aaron gave a small nod. He didn't understand everything about this world yet, but he knew he had taken the first steps toward mastering it. Humanity was capable of more than survival. Humanity could shape the future. And somewhere far beyond comprehension, the alien queen observed, her thoughts invisible, her intentions clear. She had found a human who could rise to meet challenges the galaxy had never seen. Aaron Vale had fought once, survived, and proven that human ingenuity and courage were forces not to be underestimated. The trials were far from over. New puzzles, new dangers, new challenges awaited. But Aaron was ready. Humanity's potential had been tested, and it had shone brighter than any star in the alien sky. He set the ship on a new course, deeper into the uncharted world, ready to face the next trial, guided by the presence of the Queen, and fueled by the unshakable truth that humans could endure, adapt, and triumph, even against the unknown. The planet's winds whispered around him as he soared above valleys and rivers, and Aaron felt something he had never felt before, a sense of connection to something far larger than himself, a recognition that his choices could ripple across the stars, shaping not only his fate but that of humanity itself. He smiled, gripping the controls firmly. The journey had only begun, but already he knew. Humans were ready to meet the galaxy head-on. Aaron Vale had spent weeks studying the alien planet, learning its rhythms, its creatures, and the strange technologies hidden within its valleys and caves. But the alien queen's voice returned one morning, clearer than ever, filling his mind with a sense of urgency. The time has come, Aaron. You will face a threat not of this world, one that endangers both your species and mine. You must act. Every piece of knowledge he had gained was a weapon in its own way. The alien queen guided him to a nearby human outpost, where reports of strange fleets approaching had begun to arrive. Ships from an unknown alien alliance were moving rapidly toward human colonies, their technology advanced and destructive. The outpost commander, a sharp-eyed woman named Captain Celara, met him as he arrived. "Vale," she said, studying him critically. "We've detected incoming vessels. Our defenses won't hold them alone. What do you know? But humanity can adapt. I can help you prepare if you follow my plan." It was enough. Together they began preparations. Aaron's plan was not to meet the incoming alien ships with brute force. They would be too powerful, but with ingenuity, adaptation, and clever use of technology. Using the alien devices, he modified the outpost's shields to absorb energy attacks and redirect them. He trained the crews to use energy pulses in unexpected ways, exploiting the enemy's assumptions about human behavior. Days passed. The alien fleet approached, a glittering formation of sleek, dark ships. They moved with precision, communicating silently, striking fear into even the most seasoned human officers. Aaron studied their movements, recalling the lessons from the planet he had just left. Observation, anticipation, and adaptability were key. When the attack began, Aaron stayed calm. Human crews fired in synchronized bursts, redirecting energy pulses through the modified shields. The alien ships advanced, confident in their superiority but underestimated human ingenuity. Using alien devices that Aaron had learned to operate, they created decoys, false energy signatures, and traps. One of the enemy's leading ships aimed a destructive beam directly at the command center. Aaron activated a hidden pulse conduit, diverting the beam into the surrounding asteroid field. The rock and metal exploded outward, damaging the alien ship. It faltered, confused by the unexpected tactic. The human crews, inspired by Aaron's calm and confidence, moved with precision. Pilots weaved through the battlefield, engineers improvised on the fly, and soldiers coordinated attacks in ways the alien fleet could not predict. Every time the enemy assumed humans would act one way, they did another. The battle intensified. Alien ships adapted, shifting formations and altering attack patterns. But Aaron had learned their behavior from observing patterns, using deduction and intuition honed under the Queen's guidance. He instructed human pilots to split into smaller groups, lure the enemy into narrow canyons, and use the planet's natural formations as a defensive advantage. From the surface, the outpost looked like chaos, but it was a carefully orchestrated dance of human ingenuity. The alien fleet had never encountered such unpredictable tactics, and their confidence began to falter. Then came the critical moment. One of the alien command vessels, larger than the others and heavily shielded, targeted the human fleet's central position. If it fired, the colony and outpost could be destroyed. Aaron acted quickly, combining human technology with alien artifacts. He activated a device that emitted a focused energy pulse, destabilizing the alien vessel's shields momentarily. "Now!" he shouted. Human ships fired in a coordinated strike, piercing the vulnerable point. The alien command vessel faltered, then retreated with the remaining ships, their formation breaking apart. The humans had won the battle, but Aaron knew it was only temporary. The alien alliance would return, stronger and more determined. Captain Celara approached him afterward, her expression a mixture of relief and amazement. "I've never seen anything like that," she said. "You risked everything, and yet it worked. How did you know?" "I trusted in human ingenuity, and in the guidance I received." He thought of the alien queen and the lessons she had imparted. It was not raw strength that had won the battle. It was understanding, adaptation, and cooperation. Humans could survive and even thrive when they trusted their minds and hearts. That night, Aaron received a vision from the Queen. Her form was larger, more defined, her presence more commanding than ever. "You have shown humanity's potential, Aaron, but this is only the beginning. greater threats approach, and only those who understand both themselves and their allies will prevail. Prepare for the next challenge. Every choice from this point forward would matter not just for himself, but for humanity as a whole. The next days were spent reinforcing the outpost, training crews, and studying alien artifacts more deeply. Aaron devised new strategies, combining human and alien technologies in ways that seemed impossible to others. He coordinated patrols, taught humans to anticipate enemy behavior, and encouraged creative thinking in every aspect of defense. One afternoon, while analyzing energy patterns from the previous battle, Aaron noticed anomalies. Faint signals, almost imperceptible, were coming from distant systems. He realized the alien alliance was not unified. They were a coalition of factions with their own conflicts and agendas. If humans could exploit those divisions, they might not just survive, they could gain allies among other species. The Queen's voice came again, guiding him subtly. Perception is as important as power. Observe, understand, and act. Humans can turn uncertainty into advantage. But Aaron trusted in careful planning, foresight, and the courage of those who followed him. Weeks passed. Slowly, the strategy bore fruit. Minor factions began to withhold resources from the main alliance, disrupting supply lines and weakening their advance. Human colonies, inspired by Aaron's success and ingenuity, began to cooperate more closely, sharing technology, intelligence, and strategies. Aaron realized a crucial lesson. Survival was not just about strength, but about communication, alliance, and the ability to inspire others to rise to a common purpose. Humanity was not just a species of fighters. They were thinkers, innovators, and leaders when given the chance. One evening, as Aaron watched the twin suns of the planet dip below the horizon, he reflected on everything that had happened. The trials of the alien planet had prepared him for interstellar conflict. The battle against the alien fleet had proven that humans could rise to impossible challenges. And the Queen's guidance reminded him that observation, intelligence, and cooperation would always be more powerful than brute force. He clenched his fists, determination settling over him like armor. Greater challenges awaited. The alien alliance would return, more organized, more cunning, and more dangerous. But humanity had something they could never underestimate: ingenuity, courage, and the ability to adapt to any situation. The Queen's presence lingered in his mind, a quiet reminder that he was never truly alone. He had fought, learned, and survived, and now the galaxy awaited his next move. Aaron smiled faintly. Humans had faced extinction before and had survived. Against impossible odds, they had endured. And now, with the guidance of one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy, humanity could not just endure, they could thrive. The stars stretched endlessly before him, a canvas of possibility and danger. And Aaron Vale, once a simple lieutenant on a remote mining colony, now held the knowledge, skill, and courage to shape the future of human civilization across the stars. The battle was over, but the war for survival, and for the recognition of humanity's potential, was only beginning. Aaron's mind raced with possibilities, strategies, and hope. Humanity had won this day, and the Queen had seen their potential. And with every challenge faced, every puzzle solved, every battle fought, they were proving to the galaxy that humans were not just survivors. They were champions of ingenuity and courage, worthy of a place among the stars. Aaron Vale stood on the command deck of the flagship, staring at the holographic map of the galaxy. Multiple enemy fleets were converging on human colonies, larger and more coordinated than anything humanity had faced before. The stakes had never been higher. Every decision he made now could mean survival or extinction, not just for his crew, but for every human settlement across the stars. The alien Queen's presence filled his mind, calm but insistent. This is the final trial, Aaron. Use what you have learned. Trust in humans and they will rise beyond expectation. Fail and many will fall. And now he would put every lesson into practice. Prepare the fleet, he said to Captain Celara. We fight not with fear, but with strategy. We fight not with strength alone, but with intelligence, courage, and unity. And the galaxy will see what humans are capable of. For the first time, human ingenuity and adaptability were weapons as formidable as any fleet of warships. The enemy fleet emerged from hyperspace like a dark storm, sleek ships bristling with weaponry. Their advance was precise, coordinated, and ruthless. They assumed humans would flee or act predictably. They assumed incorrectly. Aaron activated a sequence of energy pulses that created illusions of multiple fleets, tricking the enemy into splitting their forces. Human ships darted between asteroids and planetary debris, using stealth and cunning to outmaneuver their superior technology. Engineers remotely hacked alien systems, turning enemy shields against their own weapons. Pilots adapted in real time, exploiting weaknesses and creating openings that no human had ever encountered before. The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit the void, energy beams cut through the darkness, and debris from destroyed ships floated silently in space. Yet amid the chaos, Aaron remained calm. Observation, adaptation, and precise action had always been the key, and he applied those principles flawlessly. At a critical moment, the enemy's flagship targeted the human fleet's core, intending to break their command structure and morale. Aaron had anticipated this. He activated a device that combined human and alien technology, creating a massive energy shield that absorbed the flagship's main attack and redirected it back at the enemy formation. The flagship faltered under its own redirected energy, its shields collapsing. Human ships seized the opportunity, striking with precision. Within minutes, the flagship was disabled, and the enemy fleet's coordination crumbled. The remaining ships scattered, retreating to avoid total destruction. As silence fell over the battlefield, Aaron allowed himself a moment to breathe. Humanity had survived the impossible once again. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not through sheer power, but through intelligence, courage, and adaptability. The alien queen appeared in his mind more clearly than ever. Her luminous form shimmered across his thoughts. "You have succeeded, Aaron. Humanity has proven its potential. You have not only defended your species, but shown that humans can rise to any challenge, adapt to any threat, and thrive where others would falter. The galaxy has taken notice. You have proven that courage, intelligence, and cooperation define humanity, not fear or weakness. Your people have earned respect across the stars." Many had witnessed humanity's ingenuity and resilience and chose to cooperate rather than fight. Trade, technology sharing, and mutual defense agreements spread rapidly. Aaron visited Korath 7 by transport, seeing the colony thriving once more. Civilians had rebuilt homes, repaired machinery, and resumed their work with a renewed sense of purpose. Lyra, now older and braver than before, ran to greet him. "You came back," she said, smiling through tears. "I did," he said, ruffling her hair. "And humanity is stronger now than it ever was. Remember, courage and cleverness matter as much as strength. Never forget that." Back aboard the flagship, Aaron reflected on his journey. From the raid on Korath 7 to the trials on the alien planet, to the fleet battles that had saved countless lives, every challenge had built upon the last. And throughout it all, the alien queen had guided him, not to dominate, but to teach. Humans had been tested, yes, but in doing so, they had revealed the very best of themselves. The queen's voice returned one final time, soft but unwavering. "You have changed the course of history, Aaron. You have shown what one human, and by extension humanity, can achieve. Remember this, the future is never fixed. Courage, intelligence, and heart shape destiny. You have done well." Humanity had survived not by chance, not by weapons alone, but by demonstrating the qualities that made them unique: ingenuity, cooperation, adaptability, and the willingness to act even when odds seemed impossible. The fleets that had once threatened them now respected human innovation. Former adversaries began seeking alliances rather than conflict. And the alien queen, a being whose power and knowledge far exceeded human understanding, had witnessed firsthand the resilience and brilliance of the species she had observed. Aaron stood on the observation deck of the flagship, watching the stars pass by as the ship traveled to distant colonies. Each star represented lives, worlds, and civilizations now safer because humans had risen to the challenge. He felt a quiet pride, knowing that humanity had carved its place in the galaxy, not through fear or domination, but through courage, creativity, and wisdom. He thought back to the first raid on Korath 7, to the moment when he had fought bravely and the Queen had first observed him. Who could have imagined that a single human's courage in one battle would ripple across the stars, influencing the course of countless lives? Yet it had, and it would continue to do so because humans were never content to simply survive. They learned, adapted, and thrived. Aaron smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility mixed with hope. Humanity had proven itself, but the galaxy was vast and full of mysteries yet to explore. There would be more challenges, yes, but now, humans had the knowledge, the courage, and the experience to meet them head-on. The alien queen had changed his fate, and in doing so had changed the fate of humanity itself. What had started as a single battle on a remote mining colony had grown into a story of triumph, ingenuity, and recognition. Humans had survived impossible odds and emerged not only alive but respected across the stars. Aaron turned to Captain Celera and the crew. "We've done well," he said, "but the work isn't over. There's much to learn, much to protect, and much to explore. Humanity is ready for the galaxy." Aaron felt the Queen's presence as a quiet, guiding force, a mentor who had tested him, challenged him, and ultimately trusted him to prove what humanity could accomplish. He allowed himself a moment of reflection. Humans had fought, survived, and thrived. They had turned uncertainty into opportunity, weakness into strength, and observation into action. And now they had a place in the galaxy, a future shaped by courage, intelligence, and heart. Aaron looked out at the stars, knowing that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, discoveries, and wonders beyond imagination. But humanity was ready. Humans had fought once, survived against impossible odds, and proved that they could rise to any challenge. And now, guided by courage, ingenuity, and the subtle presence of the alien queen, they would shape the future of the galaxy itself. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, promising adventure, danger, and the chance to redefine what it meant to be human. And Aaron Vale, once a simple lieutenant from a remote colony, had become the embodiment of that promise. He had fought, survived, learned, and led. Humanity had not only endured, they had triumphed. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the alien queen observed, silent but proud, knowing that in one human and through one species, she had witnessed the true potential of life that would not only survive the stars, but rise to meet them with courage, intelligence, and unyielding heart.